Things just get particularly interesting over at Twitter. An ex-executive has blown the whistle alleging reckless and negligent cybersecurity policies. But the big news here, in my opinion, is that he is confirming Twitter is lying to Elon Musk about its bots. They don't actually have the ability to track it. And thus, Elon Musk is probably right. They've been withholding information. They don't want to admit it. And Elon Musk will probably win his lawsuit with Twitter, but we'll see. It really does depend on the judge. Now, the other news in terms of the Elon Musk lawsuit is that he has filed a subpoena. He has subpoenaed Jack Dorsey in his acquisition suit. This should be really interesting. Now that a whistleblower has come out, made a bunch of claims, Elon Musk is going to be able to sit these people down and ask them about these claims under oath. And what do you think they're going to do? They will fold. These people, they testify and they give these wishy-washy answers. It ain't going to be like this. We're going to see a legitimate cross-examination. Twitter is a dirty, dirty game. Here's the story from CNN. Twitter has major security problems that pose a threat to its own users' personal information, to company shareholders, to national security, and to democracy, according to an explosive whistleblower disclosure obtained exclusively by CNN and the Washington Post. The disclosure sent last month to Congress and federal agencies paints a picture of a chaotic and reckless environment at a mismanaged company that allows too many of its staff access to the platform's central controls and most sensitive information without adequate oversight. It also alleges that some of the company's senior-most executives have been trying to cover up Twitter's serious vulnerabilities, and that one or more current employees may be working for a foreign intelligence service. There it is. Why are they so adamant? Why were they so adamant about stopping Elon Musk from acquiring the platform? One or more of its current employees may be working for a foreign intelligence service. Why is it that after Elon successfully put in his bid, there was panic, and then we saw a weird fluctuation between follower counts between the left and the right? Something at Twitter ain't right. And this guy's now blowing the whistle. This is much bigger than I think any of us realize, and it's probably because we're only looking at the surface of it. And the surface level stuff is, oh, you got Elon Musk, he's an eccentric billionaire, and he's playing weird games, and the media is going to be like, he just wants to buy new toys. But we've often talked about maybe there's some 4D chess here. Maybe something else is going on that we don't know about. Maybe Elon does. Elon has made a bunch of claims about bots on the platform. I want to tell you why this is so important. If a foreign intelligence service really does have assets in Twitter, and foreign governments have influence over Twitter, they could be manipulating our public perception. And that's basically what the dude's saying. They could be manipulating the American public on social media. And I think that's probably the case. I think, you know what I pointed out last night on the member segment at timcast.com. I tweeted, there's a journalist who said on Twitter that she's getting heart medication because of long COVID. I tweeted, it's a good thing you're double vaxxed, otherwise it would have been worse. All of a sudden, like clockwork, an individual commented saying it would have been way worse if she wasn't vaccinated. The vaccine, it helps to reduce severe symptoms. Why are you being so dishonest about this? I thought it was funny. And I tried to understand, how is it that I tweeted, it's a good thing you're vaccinated, and someone responded as if I said the opposite. It's weird, isn't it? Unless you realize how these things work, here's my thought. They're bots. We know there are bots on the platform. Elon Musk is trying to uncover the bots. There's probably foreign intelligence influence on the platform. So what's the goal of this weird bot tweeting the opposite on a response that makes no sense? The response should have been like, you're absolutely right, Tim. These vaccines do help reduce symptoms. Instead, the response was, you were wrong. It would have been worse. I'm like, wait, but I literally said it was a good thing. Here's what I think. These bots, they don't understand context. Like we've all seen with YouTube censorship, they don't understand context if you say a word. So what they probably have is a bunch of bots that presume, because I'm anti-establishment for the most part, and because people perceive me, or that's the idea that Tim Pool is right-wing, whatever. Because of that, they probably have the bots programmed to respond to certain keywords. Thus, when the bot saw the word vaxxed, it probably assumed, because there's no context for these bots, I was saying something negative about them when I was saying something positive. And its only response could be in the inverse, something positive. You get it? Like if I tweeted the word, ravioli, and the bots were like, people in this sphere of influence hate ravioli, the only inference it could make was it must be a negative post, or it's more likely to be, and thus respond saying ravioli is good. In this instance, the vaccine. I said it was good. The bot said, no, Tim, it's actually good. Get it? That's the game they're playing with manipulation. For most people, they're predictable. I try to be somewhat unpredictable, but, a lot of what I do is decently predictable if you know who I am. But typically what I do on Twitter is I'll post the opposite. And it's just, that's what it is. And then you'll often notice these bots are tweeting the things I say as if I said the opposite. That's the foreign or potentially even domestic manipulation. I don't know who's manipulating, but somebody operates bots to try and sway public opinion. So, for instance, you're a Trump supporter, let's say. You go on Twitter and say something like Trump is great. You get inundated with posts being like Trump is a fascist, Trump is a loser, and all of that stuff. Try posting something like Trump is a fascist, and you will see the exact same responses. Now, in that case, it may be that they're agreeing with you. But say something weird and nonsensical referencing Trump, and you'll probably see a bunch of bots going like, Trump is actually a fascist. You could say, Trump bakes great cupcakes, and you're going to get inundated with Trump is a fascist, because they're all fake. They're trying to convince you. This is what's been happening on Twitter for a long time. They're trying to convince you that public opinion is over here and you're over there. Now, for me, I mostly don't care about public opinion. There's no winning. You just got to do your thing. For instance, here's a really good example, right? And Twitter is also a brigade machine. So we just put out a promo for the new Timcast single, Only Ever Wanted. It's a fairly basic pop and pop rock with some pop punk element song. I don't expect it to be, like a top 40 or anything. That's just music we write and we want to publish, and we have the ability to do so. On Instagram, overwhelmingly positive response. On Facebook, overwhelmingly positive response. On YouTube, overwhelmingly positive response. On Twitter, mixed. On Twitter, it's a whole bunch of communist avatars and presumably like fake accounts with, anonymous profiles saying the same generic things that don't really make sense. I mean, they do. It's like generic negative. I think Twitter is heavily manipulated, influenced by bots. I think Elon knows this. And I think Elon's recognized that as a tech guy. He's probably seen that when he posts, he sees these responses like, that's not real. Like, you can see that's a bot. Why isn't Twitter doing anything about it? That's the interesting thing. So I've long pressured this. I've long pressured the system with various posts to see how Twitter responds and how these bots respond. And sure enough, I tweet something like the vaccine is good, and I get bots saying, no, Tim, the vaccine is good. Clearly, something doesn't make sense. The sophistication of these bots is not, they're not particularly sophisticated. They can't understand the context of what I'm tweeting, and they just assume you and everybody else fall into certain boxes. Now, it's true. There's probably a lot of people that do the same thing, but I think it's clear that some of these are just bots intending to manipulate. They mention the whistleblower who has agreed to be publicly identified is Peter Mudge Zatko, who was previously the company's head of security. Now, this guy got fired. This is interesting. He released this document. He got fired. And they said for, bad leadership or whatever. No, I think what likely happened is that this dude went to Twitter and said, these things are bad. We need to fix them. And they were like, don't screw with us. So they axed him. So he went public. Quote, Mr. Zatko was fired from his senior executive role at Twitter for poor performance and ineffective leadership over 6 months ago. Strange. It makes no sense. This guy's been at the company for some time. He was a top executive. All of a sudden, he's fired now. They say, well, we haven't had access to the specific allegations being referenced. What we've seen so far is a narrative about our privacy and data security practices that is riddled with inconsistencies and inaccuracies and lacks important context. Mr. Zatko's allegations and opportunistic timing appear designed to capture attention and inflict harm on Twitter, its customers, and its shareholders. Security and privacy have long been company-wide priorities at Twitter, and we still have a lot of work ahead of us. I think they're lying. Some of Zatko's most damning claims spring from his apparently tense relationship with Parag Agrawal, the company's former chief technology officer who was made CEO after Jack Dorsey. According to the disclosure, Agrawal and his lieutenants repeatedly discouraged Zatko from providing a full accounting of Twitter's security problems to the company's board of directors. You see where this is going? The company's executive team allegedly instructed Zatko to provide an oral report of his initial findings on the company's security condition to the board rather than a detailed written account. Ordered Zatko to knowingly present cherry-picked and misrepresented data to create the false perception of progress on urgent cybersecurity issues, and went behind his back to have a third-party consulting firm report scrubbed to hide the true extent of the company's problems. The disclosure is generally much kinder to Dorsey, who hired Zatko, and whom Zatko believes wanted to see the problems in the company fixed. But it does depict him as extremely disengaged in the final months leading Twitter. So much so that some senior staff even considered the possibility he was sick. Very interesting. CNN reached out to Dorsey. They say Zatko believes his firing was in retaliation for his sounding the alarm and about the company's security problems. The scathing disclosure, which totals around 200 pages, including supporting exhibits, was sent last month to a number of U.S. government agencies and congressional committees, including the SEC and FTC and the DOJ. The existence and details of the disclosure have not previously been reported. CNN obtained a copy of the disclosure from a senior Democratic aide on Capitol Hill. The SEC, DOJ, and FTC declined to comment. The Senate Intelligence Committee, which had received a copy of the report, is taking the disclosure seriously and is setting a meeting to discuss the allegations, according to Rachel Cohen, a committee spokesperson. Senator Dick Durbin, who chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee and also received the report, vowed to investigate and take further steps as needed to get to the bottom of these alarming allegations. Chuck Grassley, the same panel's top Republican and an avid Twitter user, also expressed deep concern about the allegations in a statement to CNN. Quote, "Take a tech platform that collects massive amounts of user data, combine it with what appears to be an incredibly weak security infrastructure, and infuse it with foreign state actors with an agenda, and you've got a recipe for disaster," Grassley said. "The claims I've received from a Twitter whistleblower raise serious national security concerns as well as privacy issues, and they must be investigated further." Now, this is really interesting. A Democrat and a Republican taking this seriously. We've seen Democrats and Republicans criticize big tech platforms, but typically the Democrats want more censorship and the Republicans want less. It'll be interesting to see how this manifests, because this isn't inherently a censorship issue. This is a security issue. This is getting crazy. Elon Musk subpoenas former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey in acquisition suit. As part of Tesla CEO Elon Musk's ongoing lawsuit, he has filed a subpoena against the former CEO. Sienna Smith. Okay, so I guess it's just a audio transcript. There's no full story. That's just the story there. I think it'll be interesting. Nicole Perlroth, she is of the New York Times, says, Dot Mudge, who is incredibly well respected in the cybersecurity community, alleges Twitter lacks basic internal security controls, is lying to Elon Musk about the number of fake accounts and bots, and says Parag Agrawal fired him for raising red flags. You know what's fascinating about this one? They're lying to Elon Musk. Huh. You know, look, whether or not it's CNN or Democrats that are coming out and reporting this stuff, this is hugely beneficial to the right, who want to see Elon Musk win in his lawsuit and take over Twitter. Elon alleged that Twitter was lying to him about bots and not revealing the appropriate information. And they came out and they said, actually, Elon is just incorrect. We've given him everything. And a bunch of people on the left were like, oh, Elon, you're wrong. You're losing. Oh, poor baby. Uh-oh. Elon Musk was right. A whistleblower has come out and shown, yeah, they're lying. This is crazy. Twitter whistleblower was on CNN 22 years ago. Look at this. Look at him all young. Now he's older and he cut his hair down. So Elon Musk is right. What does this mean? Twitter's days could be numbered. He may end up getting out of the deal because of this. And it kind of would suck. What I'd love to see is Elon Musk winning, getting Twitter at a premium price, taking it over, fixing the platform. We know it's got problems, but it is a great platform. It is social media for politics and news. Unfortunately, political actors and foreign state actors have realized this, manipulated the platform, and probably placed foreign intelligence service agents within the company. And now you have our country at risk to a great degree. I want to see Elon Musk win this lawsuit. I want to see, I want to see him win the lawsuit, but it kind of means that he's not going to acquire Twitter then. No, I want to see him acquire Twitter. I want to see him settle this lawsuit at a premium. I want to see him acquire Twitter at a discount rate, fix all the problems. And I'd be willing to bet, I bet nobody uses Twitter. I'd be willing to bet that Twitter is mostly bots. No joke. And when I say mostly, I'd be willing to bet it's like 80% bots. They say that only around 20% of the country actually uses the platform. We know that there are a lot of regular people on the platform, you know, mom and pop shop people, teenagers, whatever, regular old people. They post to Twitter. But I think we may be looking at a dead internet theory scenario. For those that aren't familiar, dead internet theory states that around 2016, the internet was taken over by a bunch of bots and corporations to create the perception of public usage and user-generated content, when in reality, totally corporate. At the very least, these big platforms banned most regular people. Tons of them. I don't know about most, but tons of them. You can't even really use YouTube anymore. No, think about it. Dead internet theory is really interesting when you consider that on YouTube, you have to go through a crazy review process that takes months to even get on the platform. It used to be that you could sign up and upload. Not so much. I mean, you can still, but it's like, can anyone actually see what you post? They can't. I wonder about Twitter. I hear these stories all day, every day that people say they were banned. And I said, how many followers do you have? No, 100. Yeah. Most of the stories I hear about people being banned are from people who have tiny accounts, regular people. And I think this is why Twitter is worried about banning high-profile individuals, because it creates ripples. But if they erode the base, the grassroots, eliminate these people from the platforms, they can change everything from the ground up. Here's how it works. If you're on Twitter and you post a meme of a frog, and then 100,000 real people follow you for it, Twitter goes, uh-oh, this person's generating influence with these memes we don't like. Well, if you ban the person, 100,000 people lose their minds. But if you slowly start banning the followers, this person loses support. Eventually, they stop posting the memes because the memes don't generate traction. And so they'll try to cater to those who do give them attention. You see how this works? If Twitter eliminates, let's say it's 50-50, Democrat, Republican. It's not, but let's just say that it's the case. So Twitter says, okay, ban 5% of the Republican side. That's all they have to do. You know why? Because now a new person joins Twitter and posts a meme. 100 angry tweets, 50 tweets in support. And they go, I don't like this. Everybody's yelling at me. And all of these other people are saying that I have a bad opinion. If I want attention, I have to pander to the majority. That's the game they play. But that's not the majority of this country. We've seen the polls. Poll after poll in all aggregate, from good companies to bad companies, we've seen what people in this country think. They don't like racism. They don't like wokeness. But on Twitter, for some reason, it skews so far to the left. And that's the point I was making about our song. You can check out Timcast Records on go to timcastrecords.com if you want to see the promo. It's a pre-save, but you can click the YouTube thing at the bottom and the video is up. This is the point I'm trying to make. This is the important thing you need to realize. Something I've known for a long time. I don't care about Twitter. Twitter's fake. On Instagram, you have real followers. You know, I know because I talk to a lot of these people. It's interesting. On Instagram, I post a video clip. Not everybody likes the song. Some people are critical of it, but overwhelmingly, it's like, yeah, my fans follow me. But on Twitter, you get a bunch of negative posts. Interesting, right? Now, these people would say things like, you're just deflecting criticism. People just don't like your music. I'm like, well, but we got, over 500,000 views and like 95% are positive responses. Only Twitter is the place. Now, what happens here is that some leftist who just doesn't like me will share to his followers and say, hey, smack talk this guy. We don't like him. And that's another thing you should realize. Like, there are real people and they brigade and they do these things. Whatever. They're entitled to their opinion. I don't think everybody likes every genre of music. So people are like, hey, your music sucks. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of bands I think aren't good. Like, people like. I think Lady Gaga's really good. A lot of people don't like Lady Gaga, but she's like one of the biggest artists in the world. I think Billie Eilish is really good. I know a lot of people don't like her music. It is what it is. But when it's exclusive to Twitter, you can see something. Something doesn't make sense on the platform. For one, you've got a problem of brigading. This creates just an awful space nobody wants to associate with. How do you solve that? I don't know if you can. But I also think, as I mentioned with the vaccine post, it's fake. It is bots programmed to respond in the negative to anything you do. Google search these troll farms. There's videos of people that have on their wall phones mounted. They'll have like 500 phones mounted, all logged in with bunk accounts. And they'll go on each phone, send a tweet. They'll go on each phone, load your account, send a tweet. And that's why you'll notice these are farms where individuals are crafting tweets. But there's also bots where you can see the same message copied. Interesting how that works. Here's a sad reality. You end up with people believing the bots are real despite not getting any traction. But they think they'll get traction by chasing after what appears to be a popular narrative, and then they don't, and it blows up in their face. That's the sad reality of people who believe the bots, man. They believe the bots are real. Shout out to this dude. What is his name? Mudge? Is that his name? Mudge? Where does that name come from? Mudge. Hackers and their hacker names, you know. Is it Mudge? Am I getting it wrong? I don't know, whatever. Shout out for Mudge, there you go, for calling this out, spreading the word, and inadvertently, whether intentionally or not, you know, it's helping Elon Musk. In the end, with Elon Musk's lawsuit, I think we're going to get a lot of information. Hopefully. Maybe it'll just get shut down or dismissed or whatever, but I'm hoping that Elon Musk's lawsuit against Twitter exposes how the game is being manipulated. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.